The Galactic Council Hall shimmered beneath a lattice of suspended light, its vaulted ceiling drifting like a sea of molten crystal. Delegates from 100 worlds sat in curved tiers, feathers, scales, and chitin catching the glow. The air hummed with layered voices, ritual announcements, and the constant pulse of the hall's translation fields. At the center stood a single human, tall, steady, gaze unbroken. Ambassador Elena Rees had delivered many warnings in this chamber, but never one this heavy. She placed her hands behind her back, posture controlled. "Honored counselors," she began, her voice carrying across the amphitheater. "Earth's deep-range sensors have confirmed a concentrated movement of Council vessels into the Arcani's rift. The formation is not consistent with drills. Its vector aligns with the standard staging pattern for a preemptive strike." Several delegates exchanged uneasy glances. Others scoffed. The Yuarshan representative, all sweeping horns and polished armor, shifted uncomfortably but didn't speak. From the highest tier, Grand Consul Virex Thalarin rose with deliberate precision. His avian form extended into an imposing silhouette, iridescent wings folded against a ceremonial robe. "Ambassador Rees," he said, voice soft but laced with disdain, "your species' fascination with seeing threats where none exist is persistent." Elena met his gaze, unflinching. "The data is clear. 300 ships traveling under a jamming veil is not a routine drill. At minimum, Earth deserves an explanation." Thalarin's eyes narrowed. "Your world has enjoyed membership for scarcely half a century. Perhaps you should learn patience before accusing the Council of deception." A low wave of murmurs rippled through the chamber. The Tavari delegate, a silver-skinned figure with mirrored eyes, leaned forward. "Grand Consul," she said carefully, "we have also noticed unusual fleet distribution. Perhaps—" Thalarin cut her off with a sharp motion. "The matter is settled. Earth misinterprets ordinary maneuvers. The Council owes them nothing more." Elena felt a familiar pressure behind her sternum, anger she refused to show. "If these maneuvers enter the Soul Corridor, Earth will respond. Not with speculation. With defense." Thalarin's feathers bristled, a sign of irritation among his kind. "Defense? Humanity's fleets are modest. Its influence, negligible. Do not provoke the Council with inflated confidence." She inhaled slowly. "Modest doesn't mean unprepared. You may step down," he said dismissively, turning away. Elena held her ground for a heartbeat longer, long enough to make the silence in the chamber feel like a tightening wire. Then she bowed, expression neutral, and walked out beneath 1,000 watching eyes. Outside the hall, the polished corridor curved like the inside of a gleaming shell. Elena paused near a viewing pane, watching Tau Ceti Prime cast its pale halo against the station. Her reflection looked tired, but her eyes stayed sharp. She tapped her wrist console, opening a secure channel. A coded voice answered. "Confirm identity. Elena Ruiz. Authorization Sigma 7. Identity confirmed. Proceed." She kept her voice barely above a whisper. "They dismissed the warning. As expected." "Did the Grand Consul reveal intent?" the voice asked. "No," she replied. "But the fleet's trajectory reveals enough." The line clicked as encryption shifted. A different voice came through, calmer, deeper. "General Quan." "Ambassador, is it time?" "They won't stop," she said. "Initiate protocol Scorched Sky." A brief silence followed. Quan never hesitated, yet Elena sensed him weighing the gravity. "Acknowledged. Earth Command will proceed." She ended the call and closed her eyes. She had entered diplomacy to prevent wars, not preside over the threshold of one. Yet every year spent in the Council taught her the same truth. The old species assumed humans would always bow. Arrogance blinded them. They never saw how Earth had changed. 2 weeks earlier, she had sat in a dim briefing room deep inside Earth's orbital station. The atmosphere had been tense even then. A hologram of the Council fleet rotated above the table, red arrows marking acceleration vectors. General Quan stood with arms crossed. "Their formation is optimized for overwhelming force. They're not practicing, Their positioning. Elena had studied the simulation carefully. Could they be attempting intimidation? Possibly, Quan said. But intimidation at this scale is preparation for dominance. They expect no real resistance. He shut the projection off. The Council has forgotten how humans respond when cornered. She remembered the weight of his words now as she stood alone in the corridor. Earth had spent decades building an image of cautious cooperation, modest technology, and limited military interest. It was a facade. Behind it, humanity had pursued a doctrine of silent deterrence, preparing tools that could alter the balance of power in minutes, should the Council ever force their hand. Elena had supported the deception reluctantly, but she understood it. Without superior force, Earth would be nothing more than a compliant client world. She looked back toward the Council Hall doors as they opened. The Tavari ambassador stepped out, her shimmering skin reflecting the corridor lights. Ambassador Rees, the Tavari said softly, you spoke with conviction today. Elena gave a faint, polite smile. Conviction rarely moves this council. True, the Tavari replied. But fear does. And the movement of that fleet unsettles many of us. I hope your world is ready for what may come. We are, Elena said simply. The Tavari studied her. Then I hope your readiness protects more lives than it threatens. With that, she departed down the corridor. Later, Elena returned to her quarters, small, minimalist, designed for long deployments on foreign stations. She poured herself a glass of water and sat by the narrow window. The stars stretched across the void in clean, perfect lines, but tonight they looked sharper, as if aware of what approached. Her console blinked with a new update. She opened it and scanned the latest intelligence feed. The Council fleet had entered the Arcani's Rift. Jamming levels increased. Communications traffic suggested preparation for synchronized warp transitions. Everything pointed to an imminent move toward Sol. She keyed in a brief message to Earth Command. Trajectory confirmed. No change in Council stance. A moment later, her screen displayed a single line from General Quan. Understood. Phase 1 mobilizing. Elena set the console aside and leaned back, letting the quiet of the room settle. She had stood in the Council for 15 years, fighting to secure Earth's place among the stars. She had petitioned, negotiated, compromised. Yet respect never came. Not because humanity lacked merit, but because the ancient powers clung to old hierarchies that placed human civilization at the bottom. They believed Earth would yield, no matter the provocation. Tonight, that illusion would end. She whispered into the dimness. You should have listened. Her reflection stared back, resolute. The storm had begun. Beneath the red dust plains of Mars, buried under 600 meters of rock and reinforced alloys, Earth's true war council met in silence. General Elias Quan stood at the central table, a rotating projection of the Arcani's Rift spinning slowly above him. Dozens of data feeds lined the walls, telemetry, warp signatures, comms activity, all converging into one undeniable truth. They're moving into final position, he said. Jamming fields active. Their warp deceleration profile confirms an assault vector. Not a drill. Around him, the room filled with tension but no fear. The commanders seated at the polished steel table were the architects of Earth's real defense, not the ceremonial admirals paraded before the Galactic Council. Quan's voice remained even. Scorched sky is green-lit. A low chime echoed as secure systems unlocked across Earth's defense grid. Hidden facilities across the system came online, automated kill satellites, AI dreadnoughts, and prototype weapon platforms built in secret, far from Council eyes. Authorization confirmed, said an officer at the console. Project Wraith units activating now. 12 dark shapes stirred in the void between Neptune and Pluto, their hulls absorbing light. The Wraith fleet had no flags, no broadcast signatures, and no known schematics in Council databases. Their weapons were rail-mounted mass drivers capable of hurling tungsten rods at near-relativistic speeds. Their engines were cold plasma, their guidance handled by silent quantum cores. They had never been seen. Until today. Far above Mars, In Earth's orbital diplomatic station, Elena Ruiz watched the same feed in her private office. Her expression was unreadable. "Do you believe they'll strike Sol directly?" asked a voice behind her. She turned. Colonel Amir Jain, Earth's liaison to Special Intelligence, leaned against the doorway. His eyes were sharp, but the wear of years was visible beneath them. "Fowlerin doesn't bluff," Elena said. "And he doesn't compromise. Then he'll force us to make an example of him." Her silence was confirmation enough. Jane crossed his arms. "Ironic, isn't it? We begged for a seat at their table. They refused to see us as equals. Now they'll see us as something else." Elena looked back at the display. "Not what we wanted. Just what we prepared for." The Council fleet drifted into the Arcani's rift, their formations perfect, textbook. It was a page torn straight from the Valari war doctrine: overwhelming force, swift positioning, complete communications control. The lead cruiser, Draxion's Claw, deployed long-range scanners across the sector. Nothing returned but static and mineral echoes. The humans hadn't even dispatched a patrol. Fleet Commander Shurath Vel tapped the edge of his console, feathers twitching in irritation. "Still no response from Earth vessels?" "None," came the reply. "The Sol system shows no mobilization." He narrowed his eyes. "Then they truly are blind." A second officer leaned in. "Shall we begin approach maneuver to Earth perimeter?" Vel opened his beak to reply, then paused. A new signal flashed on the tactical array. No broadcast. No transponder. Just mass signatures. 12 of them. Vel stood so fast his chair snapped back. "Raise shields, now!" But it was already too late. On Mars, General Quan stared at the updated telemetry. "Wraiths have visual lock. Fire when ready." "Targets confirmed," came the reply. "Mass drivers hot. Firing." In the vacuum of deep space, silence ruled. No flare. No radiation. Just sudden trajectories. From 12 dark holes, tungsten rods accelerated past point 1C. They required no explosives, only momentum. Each rod, a 10-ton kinetic lance, punched through warships as if they were paper. In 17 seconds, 40 Council vessels vanished from sensors. A pause. Confusion. Then retaliation, wild, disorganized. But the Wraiths were already gone. Their positions had shifted using micro-warp skips and inertia brakes. The Council fleet's formation shattered under the invisible barrage. Back on the Council station, chaos unfolded in the command chamber. "Lost contact with Draxion's Claw. 73 ships down, confirmation pending. The entire Arcani's line is collapsing." Fowlerin's wings flared in disbelief. "Impossible. Humanity can't. Projected human fleet was ceremonial only." One of his aides turned pale, shaking. "Sir, this is coordinated. They were waiting for us." Fowlerin's face twisted. "They deceived us. Built weapons beneath our notice." The Tavari delegate entered behind him, gaze fixed on the crumbling reports. "Or maybe we just didn't bother to look." Inside Earth's war room, Quan watched the feed with no emotion. "Status? 80% of the Council fleet neutralized. Survivors in retreat vectors. No response from command vessels. No sign of counter-coordination. Broadcast the warning," he said. "All channels." A transmission left the Arcani's rift. It bore no name. No emblem. Just a voice. "This is Earth. The Council brought war to our border. We did not escalate. We responded. This is your only warning." The message looped. Elena stood alone in her quarters, watching the stars. The Council had mocked Earth's restraint. They had seen patience as weakness. They would never make that mistake again. Her console blinked. "Incoming, Council priority transmission. Status, emergency session." She smiled faintly. The tide had turned. The Arcani's rift, once a quiet scar of empty space, burned with fragments of shattered hulls. Twisted metal drifted through the void, tumbling silently, illuminated only by the faint blue shimmer of dying engines. The Council fleet had arrived in perfect order. Now it fought in pieces. Aboard the Draction's Claw, Commander Shurath Vel struggled to steady himself as emergency lights flickered across the bridge. Smoke blurred the air. Power conduits sparked along the ceiling. Officers scrambled to make sense of the attacks, but the tactical readouts changed faster than they could speak. "Another detonation on the port wing," shouted a technician. "We've lost structural integrity in 3 sections. Identify the source of the strikes," Vel demanded. "We can't," replied the sensor officer, voice cracking. "No emissions, no heat signatures. They're hitting us with objects moving faster than our tracking cycles." Vel gripped the railing, claws digging into the metal. "Impossible." But the rift said otherwise. Outside the failing viewport, streaks of metal sliced through the dark, barely visible flashes before entire cruisers burst apart. Each strike tore ships open in a single puncture, then shredded them with escaping pressure. No warning. No visible enemy. It wasn't a battle, it was an execution. On one of Earth's Wraith-class dreadnoughts, the interior remained dim and cool. The hull absorbed surrounding light, rendering the vessel ghost-like, even to its crew. Only the low hum of systems vibrated through the deck as the ship repositioned for a second strike. "Targets reacquired," announced an AI through the command interface. Its voice was calm, nearly gentle. Captain Mara Velez stood at the command cradle, hands clasped behind her back. "Maintain cloak. Cycle mass drivers. Fire at will." The AI complied without hesitation. Firing. Invisible lances tore into the Council's center line. 3 capital ships imploded simultaneously, their reactors flickering out like dying flames. The rift briefly flashed white, then returned to stillness. "Time to enemy response?" Velez asked. 17 seconds, the AI replied. "Projected counterfire remains ineffective." She felt no triumph, only confirmation. "Continue until withdrawal." On the Council flagship, alarms wailed across all decks. Vel watched icons disappear from the tactical sphere, each vanishing ship sending a vacuum of silence into the calm channels. A lieutenant stumbled beside him. "We're losing everything." Vel slammed a fist onto the console. "Get me an open channel to Fleet Command." Static swallowed the line. The jamming was no longer theirs, it had been overwhelmed by Earth's countersignal. Whatever Earth had unleashed, it was precise enough to dismantle their fleet and silence their comms in the same breath. Another officer shouted from engineering. "The outer ring is gone! They're slicing through us like..." A kinetic slug ripped through the stern and exited through the bow, vaporizing the forward deck. Vel didn't hear the rest. Back on the Galactic Council station, emergency lights stuttered across the command atrium. The chamber was filled with panicked voices, from aides to senior advisors. Streams of live data fed through the holographic displays, ship losses, position drops, distress calls abruptly cut off as soon as they appeared. Grand Consul Thalarin burst into the chamber, wings half unfurled, fury radiating from every movement. "Explain this," he demanded, pointing at the cascading lists of destroyed vessels. A trembling analyst tried to respond. "Sir, they're being struck by projectiles traveling at extreme velocities. Automated rail systems, Earth technology." Thalarin's feathers stiffened in disbelief. "Earth does not possess that level of..." "Sir," another analyst interrupted. "Earth has been withholding military capability for decades. We underestimated them." The Tavari representative stepped forward, expression grim. "You didn't underestimate. You refused to see. You pushed them into a corner. Now all of us pay the price." Thalarin whirled on her. "We command the galaxy. They are a minor species." She looked at the devastation feeds. "Not anymore." In the rift, the last Council battleship drifted without power, hull fractured, reactor cold. Fires flickered through interior corridors as survivors scrambled to escape. In the command chamber, Vel staggered toward the helm, blood seeping down his side. "Open an emergency channel," he whispered. "There's nothing to connect to." said a wounded officer. The fleet is gone. Vel stared blankly at the broken displays. 300 warships, obliterated in under 2 minutes. The console crackled suddenly. A single transmission forced its way through the jamming. A calm human voice. Council forces. Your attack ends now. The words echoed through the ruins of the bridge. The human continued. Earth warned you not to threaten our borders. We sought dialogue. You chose force. This response was proportionate. Vel swallowed, throat raw. Proportionate? You annihilated. The transmission cut him off. Turn back what remains of your fleet. Do not test us again. The message ended. Silence retook the rift. General Quan monitored the real-time destruction from Mars Command. His staff moved with disciplined efficiency. No cheering. No arrogance. Only acknowledgement. Status? Quan asked. Council fleet is neutralized, said an officer. A handful of damaged vessels remain. None pose a threat. Quan nodded once. Hold fire. No pursuit. We send a message today, not a genocide. An aide turned to him. Sir, the council will panic. They should, Quan said. They gambled on our weakness. They miscalculated. His console chimed, showing a patch-through from the diplomatic station. Elena Rees appeared, her face lit by the glow of distant stars. It's done? She asked quietly. Yes, Quan said. They'll never forget it. Elena exhaled slowly. Then I need to address the council. Stand strong, Quan said. They'll come at you harder than ever. Elena nodded. Let them. They can't ignore Earth anymore. Back on the council station, chaos gave way to stunned quiet as a final image arrived from the rift, a field of wreckage, drifting like ashes on a cosmic wind. Broken ships. Silent hulls. No survivors capable of resistance. Delegates stared at the projection, awestruck and horrified. That was when the chamber doors opened. Elena Rees stepped inside, posture steady, eyes unwavering. The room fell silent. Thalarin turned toward her, face twisted with outrage. Human, he hissed. Your species has committed an atrocity. Elena crossed the floor until she stood directly before him. Grand Consul, she said softly. You attacked us first. He jabbed a talon in her direction. This means war. It means consequence, she replied. The Tavari representative spoke before Thalarin could respond. The Council has lost its entire strike fleet. We must reassess leadership. Immediately. Whispers broke out across the chamber. Elena watched it unfold, emotionless. The galaxy had changed in less than 2 minutes. And the Council, once untouchable, now trembled. The Council chamber was silent. Elena Rees stood at its center, the weight of Earth's response still echoing in the minds of every delegate. Where once she had spoken to disinterest, now every eye followed her. Fear, confusion, awe, each expression reflected the same truth: the galaxy had shifted. She waited. Across the hall, Grand Consul Thalarin leaned forward, talons tapping the armrest of his throne-like seat. His feathers had lost their usual gleam. The confidence he once wore like armor had dulled to a brittle edge. You've unleashed terror, he said finally, voice low. You've slaughtered our fleet. Elena answered without blinking. We answered aggression. You led 300 ships to our border. We removed the threat. Thalarin stood, wings twitching with restrained fury. You claim self-defense while wiping out a fleet in silence? This is not defense, it's dominance. The Tavari delegate rose slowly. Dominance? From whom? You deployed a strike force behind a veil. Earth didn't provoke this. You did. Murmurs swelled around the chamber. The Valari loyalists stayed silent, their leaders visibly shaken. Other delegates, Yuarshan, Tavari, Kail-Th, had seen enough to know the truth. Earth had warned them. The Council had ignored it. Elena took a slow step forward. For decades we offered cooperation. Dialogue. You heard none of it. You saw us as temporary. Primitive. Easy to control. She let the words land. Now you know better. Thalarin's voice cracked. This council was founded to prevent such violence. To enforce unity. Elena met his eyes. Then you failed your own charter. No one interrupted her this time. 2 hours later, in a private strategy room beneath the main hall, emergency talks convened. No robes. No ceremonial nonsense. Just 12 delegates around a matte black table, the scent of smoke still faint in the air from the chamber's disrupted power conduits. Thalarin was absent. Elena sat with a glass of water untouched in front of her, posture straight, expression unreadable. We cannot proceed as we were, said the Tavari delegate. Not after this. The council's authority is shattered. And Yarshan war chief grunted. Or revealed for what it always was, hollow. A pause. One KLTH diplomat, his voice cautious, asked, Does Earth now intend to replace the council? Elena shook her head. We're not here to seize power. But we won't tolerate subjugation. Not now. Not ever again. What then? Asked the Yarshan. Do we just forget the bloodshed? No, Elena replied. We remember it. That's the point. She leaned forward, activating a holomap of the current galactic power structure. This system is broken. Authority concentrated in ancient hands. No checks. No accountability. Humanity proposes a new structure. The map reshaped itself. Lines of equal weight. Rotating nodes. A rotating High Council. Equal representation, regardless of species, age, or population. Defense treaties must be mutual, not one-sided. Technology exchange must be transparent. And enforcement? The KLTH asked. We propose a neutral enforcement body. Elected. Bound by strict charter. No unilateral deployments. No secret strikes. The Tavari nodded slowly. A shared order. Not imposed, but chosen. Yes, Elena said. Built together. Or it collapses again. Later, Elena stood on the viewing platform outside the diplomatic wing. Below her, the station's arc curved toward the Tau Ceti sun. Behind the glass, the stars shimmered calm once more. Footsteps approached. The Tavari ambassador joined her, arms folded behind his back. You've changed the galaxy in a day. Elena didn't respond immediately. Her eyes tracked a distant transport vessel coasting between docking arms. Not me, she said at last. We only revealed the truth. The ambassador tilted his head. And what truth is that? That respect isn't given, she said. It's earned. And if denied long enough, taken. He studied her for a moment, then smiled faintly. I suspect the Valari will never forgive you. I'm not here for their forgiveness. They'll try to rebuild. Retaliate. They won't get the chance. The ambassador exhaled. Then I suggest we finish the charter quickly. 3 days later, Thalarin was formally removed from his position. A vote of no confidence passed without resistance. He left the chamber surrounded by guards, wings folded tightly, face frozen with disbelief. His last words, spoken only to Reese in passing. You've made them afraid of you, she had replied. Then they'll finally listen. The transition happened faster than any in Council history. With the fleet destroyed and public confidence shattered, power shifted from the old races to a coalition of reformers. Earth was offered a founding seat on the new High Council, an offer accepted without celebration. Elena knew this wasn't victory. Not truly. It was a start. Weeks later, Earth's embassy on Tau Ceti was quiet. Clean stone, open-air gardens, water flowing through sculpted paths. Birds, imported and native, nested in the trees. Elena walked through the central courtyard, datapad in hand. Reports scrolled beneath her fingers. Treaty drafts, trade revisions, species requesting direct diplomatic channels. Everything had changed. Colonel Jane arrived beside her, hands in his coat pockets. Quan sends regards, he said. Wraith fleets returning to deep storage. No celebration. No medals. Good, she said. This wasn't a parade. Still, Jane said, you shattered the myth. The one where we were beneath them. No, Elena corrected. They shattered it themselves. We just showed them the pieces. He smiled. You ever think we'd get here? She looked toward the horizon, the station shielding turning starlight into soft shimmer. Not like this. A pause stretched. You regret it? He asked. No, she said. I regret that it had to be done. He gave a single nod, then left her in silence. Later, as the sun dipped behind the arc of the station, Elena stood alone at her office window. Beyond the glass, the stars looked the same, but she knew better. The balance had shifted. The old empires had been shaken. Earth was no longer silent, no longer overlooked. A soft chime echoed in the room. A message appeared on her pad. From Quan. Just one line. They'll never forget. She read it twice, then turned her gaze back to the stars. They're not supposed to. The galaxy had learned.